What's going on, guys? It's the Phantom and I'm back with another video. Now in this video, a lot of people are gonna be mad and they're gonna accuse me of being racist and race baiting and all these other different tropes, but I'm going to come with facts here and just sit down, drink some tea, whatever, do what you gotta do and just focus on the video. See, the person you see in front of your screen is Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder. A lot of people in the LDBC and a lot of different black fight fans around the USA, they say that he's an exciting fighter, he knocks everybody out, why don't people like him, and this and this and that. They always come up with all these excuses and say these other things to try and justify his weak resume. Now, even though he's knocking out the bums that he's facing, it doesn't take away the fact that he's still fighting bums. When you fight guys like Eric Molina, Johan Dahupas, and all these other different bums, then it kind of begs the question as to why you're not fighting better opposition. See, Triple G, he is criticized for his resume, but I'm wondering why is not Deontay Wilder criticized for his lack of stellar opposition in his resume? Okay, he fought Tyson Fury to a draw. A lot of people thought Deontay Wilder lost that fight against Tyson Fury, okay? Luis Ortiz, another opponent that is considered, suspicious because Luis Ortiz was winning the fight until he got knocked out. Deontay Wilder scored, as always, a Hail Mary knockout. Another scandal is that Luis Ortiz is not even 40 years old, he is 50 years old. Because we know a lot of Cubans, they lie about their age, right? Now, another thing is that Luis Ortiz wasn't allowed blood pressure pills before the fight with Deontay Wilder, so he wasn't at his best, and he was kind of at a lower state than he always is in his other fights, so he wasn't even at 100%. His fight against Bermane Stiverne didn't even come into the fight in shape and ready to fight. He was just looking for a paycheck because the way he looked at the weigh-in, he was fat, out of shape, high body fat, probably didn't even train for this fight. He just needed the money for his taxes. Gerald Washington, he was not experienced enough to fight a guy of Deontay Wilder's caliber, and he got knocked out. But even though he got knocked out, he was still outboxing Deontay Wilder until the knockout. Chris Arreola. Chris Arreola was considered a decent fighter before in his heyday, but Deontay Wilder fought Chris Arreola at the last stages of his career when Chris Arreola was about to retire. So that win is not considered elite in my opinion. Spilska had never fought anyone of note, had never beat any top prospects in the heavyweight division, and Spilska was outboxing Deontay Wilder until the knockout. Johan Dahupas, another guy that is not ranked in the top 10 of the heavyweight division when Deontay Wilder had fought him. You guys can just click on the link of Johan Dahupas on BoxRec to see for yourselves. He's not ranked in the top 10. Eric Molina, not elite, another bum, another, I guess I can give him a bit of credit for fighting Eric Molina because at that time Eric Molina was a decent contender in the heavyweight division. Bermane Stiverne, okay, I'll give him credit for fighting the champion at that time, but Bermane Stiverne lacked the skills to be able to give Deontay Wilder a good fight. I give Deontay Wilder credit for taking this fight because at least Bermane Stiverne felt like he believed he could win and he believed he was a champion for a reason. So that was definitely, actually, not just probably, definitely Deontay Wilder's first real test and first real opponent that he had faced when he was, still a prospect top contender in the heavyweight division. Obviously, he challenged for the heavyweight title. He won. But before that, he was fighting guys like Jason Gavin, Malik Scott, Nikolai Firtha, Sirhaj Likovic, Audley Harrison, just guys that you wouldn't even know their names. Look at their records. They have 6 losses, 5 losses, 10 losses, 16 losses. Malik Scott took a dive against Deontay Wilder. So all these different things, like, you would have to consider them if you want to consider the guy in question, which is Deontay Wilder. If you want to consider Deontay Wilder a top pound for pound fighter, you would have to look at his resume, his body of work. Then you would have to consider how many title defenses he's had. Then you would have to consider the opponents that he's faced. But then when you look at the opponents he's faced, you have to look at the opponents of the opponents that they have faced. See, Deontay Wilder's opponent, you would have to check that opponent's resume to see if he's faced anyone of note. That's how you know if the opponent's an elite fighter, by seeing their wins when you match them up with other great fighters in the heavyweight division. But if you were to do that with Deontay Wilder's every single opponent, except for Tyson Fury and Luis Ortiz, he has not fought anyone of note in his entire career. If you were to just go down a list like I am doing in this video, he hasn't done that. He hasn't shown himself and he hasn't established himself as a great fighter in the heavyweight division. Not yet. He hasn't done that. But a lot of people like to criticize Gennady Golovkin for doing the same thing, but people give Deontay Wilder all this praise, but it seems like more of a race thing than anything, because when both guys are fighting bums, you would have to be impartial and say they're both fighting bums, and you would have to just dismiss them and say they need to fight better opposition. But with Gennady Golovkin, a lot of people call him out for fighting bums, rightfully so. But you should have that same energy for Deontay Wilder. But if you were to look at Gennady Golovkin's box rec, which is what I'm going to do right now. Gennady Golovkin box rec. Blah, blah, blah. Let's see his box rec. Okay, so he's got 31 wins, 34 knockouts, 1 loss by decision to Canelo Alvarez, a future Hall of Fame fighter, right? So he beat Daniel Jacobs and Kell Brook and David Lemieux. Those 3 fighters are definitely but they're definitely elite fighters in their respective weight classes. David Lemieux, I give Triple G credit, because David Lemieux was coming off a devastating, vicious knockout against who was he coming off a vicious knockout against? I think it was Toriano Johnson. No, it wasn't Toriano Johnson. It was the name escapes me, but he definitely came off a knockout victory against Hassan Nadam, right? So he had fought someone coming off a great win. Dominic Wade was undefeated. Kell Brook was undefeated, and he was a welterweight champion in his weight class. So technically, Kell Brook is A-level at welterweight. But Kell Brook, I don't know if Kell Brook's elite at middleweight, because he hasn't fought anyone at middleweight. He wasn't even the best at welterweight. So I can't give Triple G that fight as an elite fighter. But Triple G only had to fight at welterweight because no one in his weight class was willing to fight him. And then he went on to fight Daniel Jacobs, a top elite fighter, a top 5 fighter in the middleweight division, okay? Definitely an elite fighter. Daniel Jacobs, no question that Daniel Jacobs was elite, okay? And he didn't dominate the fight, but he won the fight. Has Deontay Wilder done that against an elite fighter in the heavyweight division? Has he fought Anthony Joshua? Has he fought Vladimir Klitschko? Has he fought... he's fought Tyson Fury, but he lost to Tyson Fury in a lot of people's eyes. But Triple G is fighting Canelo Alvarez. He beat Canelo Alvarez, in my opinion, in those 2 fights. But he got robbed. So it is what it is. Boxing politics, you know what I'm saying? But my conclusion is that a lot of people give Deontay Wilder credit for knockouts against not very great opponents. But with Triple G, people call him out for what it is, which is they should do that. But you should be impartial. You can't just give a guy like Deontay Wilder praise and not Triple G for doing the same thing, okay? And I would argue that Triple G's resume is greater than Deontay Wilder's if you actually think about it, because he's had many title defenses. He's had more title defenses, and he's had it against better opponents like Daniel Jacobs, Canelo Alvarez. Even though he had a draw and he lost against Canelo Alvarez, he still fought the guy. Okay? But anyway, tell me what you guys think. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, man. And, you know, fuck the LDBC, you know what I'm saying? Fuck those motherfuckers, race baiting motherfuckers. But anyway, I'm out. Peace.